Okay, so thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be discussing the Crestview legally suited home specification sheet, and this is just going to tie in with the remainder of the YouTube videos that I've created for this particular property. So we've got some slideshows, we've got a video walkthrough. In addition, there's a cash flow pro forma, but really what the intent with this video is to mainly go over what we've done and how we've thought this property through, what makes it a really, really great investment property. Okay, so we're going to start off with the rationale of how the Crestview property came to be, and basically what's in it. You know, you can't really tell from looking outside some of the things that we've done for that property. And you know, the reason that the Crestview was built the way that it was built was because of the traditional issues that are generally found in suited homes. So I know for myself, I've been investing in real estate here for quite a long time, and in that process, I own a lot of older homes that typically had basement suites added in after the fact, and they weren't kind of geared up that way, and they create a lot of issues. So we'll talk about those and just showcase, some of the challenges that you have to deal with in order to get the cash flow that these suited homes create. So generally speaking, number one, typically illegal and or non-conforming to city bylaws. So most of the time in Fort St. John anyway, I would say probably 80% of the suited homes that I see are illegal, meaning that the zoning does not allow for a secondary suite, and almost always certainly non-conforming. So there's a big risk with the city. They could come in and shut you down potentially. You may have issues around insurance and those kind of things. So number two is we've got inadequate parking allocated per suite. Very, very common, and that creates all kinds of challenges. It creates street congestion if you've got people that are having to park on the street continually, makes the property look derelict sometimes, or you get people just parking up on your grass, which is also not very nice. So number three, and this is a big one, inability to separate utility costs. Let me tell you from experience that does create a monumental accounting and a property management headache. So you've got two people living under one roof in a traditional suited home scenario, and you've got one utility meter. Okay, so what you're almost always having to do typically is include utilities in, try to charge something back to the tenant. But in any event, it's an accounting. It's just an extra step that you have to do on the accounting side. It's more work. It's more work for your property manager. Usually the tenants aren't very happy because nobody likes to. Let's say that they're gone a lot. And you're charging, in the case of a suited home, the traditional split that I'm used to seeing is 60% upstairs, 40% downstairs. But even tenants don't always agree with that. So there's always arguments, and it just creates a headache. Bottom line, it's just a pain in the butt. Number four, one heating system. So generally speaking, tenants, mostly in the basement suites, have no control over their own comfort and their heating regulation. That's a big pain in the butt for them as well. Number five, one hot water system, constantly running out of hot water. We've been dealing with this for as long as I've been investing in suited homes. And that's just another headache for the tenant. Okay, another big challenge for them. Next on the list is laundry. Most of the time there's shared laundry facilities typically, or we're gonna have to, try to cut some space in the upper suite to add a stackable washer and dryer. Now, and I can tell you from experience, I've done this lots of times where we've bought a home with a suite or put a suite in, and generally, we'll try to find a closet or some place where there's some room, and then, add in a laundry facility. But either way, you're compromising the space that was traditionally set up for additional storage, and it wasn't built with that purpose in mind. Next thing is soundproofing. Again, this is one of the biggest issues of all. I still own homes to this day where the tenants downstairs, or upstairs for that matter, can hear the conversations that the people above or below them are having. That's really, really terrible for long-term tenant comfort and to keep high-grade tenant profile in your property, building your equity over time. Soundproofing is just a massive challenge. Next thing is lack of storage in the basement suite. Usually non-existent for the kind of homes that I've personally seen in Fort St. John. And just to tie into that with number 9, generally speaking, the basement suite is an afterthought. The house wasn't intended or constructed with the intention of having a basement suite from the ground up. So most of the time you're trying to add something in, but it wasn't geared for it. So it just creates lots of issues. So anyway, all of these issues, guys, translates into harder property management. Okay, more tenant turnover. You're going to have tenants not enjoying their experience in your home as much. And long term, it just makes it not as appealing of an investment long term. And I can speak from a strong experience on that standpoint. And so again, each of these issues created lots of headaches. And I'll tell you what, in real estate, when you have headaches, you have to deal with them. So they actually give you a job. Now, I don't know about you, okay, but when I invest in real estate, the whole reason that I got in was to try to build passive income. And that's a pretty big word, passive, because, when you're dealing with the issues we just talked about, it's not passive. You're having to be hands-on, active, engaged, dealing with tenant issues all the time. And I looked like this guy a whole bunch. So after a decade of buying these kinds of properties, I went on an absolute mission. I said, listen, I want stress-free property management. I want my investment to act like an investment and not take all of my time, energy, and attention and just create turmoil for me. So I went on a mission to go and find those kinds of properties, and I wasn't able to, so we had to go a different route. So basically, guys, what I had to do is go out and custom design and build the kind of property that I wanted to invest in myself personally. It didn't exist in our marketplace. So, this was pretty eye-opening. I mean, I'd never done any construction development before. I was brand new to that. So I sat down with some developers, and we literally designed these plans, from the ground up with my input put in to make the investment as manageable long-term and as positive as an experience for your property management company and your tenants as it possibly could. And I think we've done a really good job at that now. And, as you're going to see in the next few slides, this took a lot of work and a lot of cooperation from each individual trade to get these things right. We didn't, we've built dozens and dozens of homes now with different developers. And every time we do it, we get better. So, in the soundproofing, we'll have the drywall and painter guys telling us, hey, we tried this, let's try it, another way next time. And we've experimented in probably 4 different subdivisions now. And through a lot of the cooperation and hard work and knowledge of each of the tradespeople we've used in those circumstances, we've created something pretty unique. And so just showcasing some of the attempts that I've worked with developers on for the last few years. I mean, we've got suited homes, we've got suited duplexes, and in each one of these, we've tried things like the separate meters, the soundproofing, the separated parking. We've basically played with each one of them. And every time we started off on this home, I think we finished off on this one, but it's gotten better. The process has evolved. At this stage in the game, I think with the Crestview, it's really culminated to the pinnacle of what I think we're able to achieve with a suited home option. So throughout that entire process and the learning curves that we've had to endure, and just the trial and errors that we've been through, the Crestview was born. And there's a lot of things that you won't see when you first glance at the home that's been built into it to make it a really, really optimal long-term holding property. So first off, we've mitigated the major issues around zoning and conformity. So when we put in the building permits, first off, we've got very rare zoning. We only build these homes where they're fully legal and they're conforming to city bylaws. So we will, when we put the building permit into the city, it has full authorization to have that suite attached to it. And we've eliminated those issues around zoning and conformity. So next is parking and secure storage. So that was number 2 on the list of issues that we had. So as you can see on the first page, we've actually got a divider. So what you've got here is the upper suite has its own garage and a double wide concrete driveway, and the basement suite has its own garage and an oversized single driveway, but they're separated. So everybody has a clearly defined parking space. And in fact, these are tall enough to get 2 vehicles in, and lots of storage space. On top of that, the basement suite and the upper suite both have their own finished heated garages. Okay, so this really, especially in the case of the basement suite, just made it very, very attractive because in our marketplace, that never existed. So that's something we've just been toying with. And for the few homes that we have built with the separated garages, the feedback that we've gotten, it was just tremendous. It made those basement suites so much more in demand. It was really unreal. So in our quest to make property management easier and to improve the tenant experience, we've really separated out all of the utilities. So we've got dual power meters as well as natural gas meters. So really, when the tenants, both in the upper and lower suites, they pay for everything independently. So they set up their own accounts with the utility companies, and it just gets rid of that big accounting headache that's always been present in these kind of homes before. So this, while it may not seem very big, is really, really massive in your long-term holding of these properties. It's a really big factor. Okay, so for the heating, what we've done here is something unique as well, and we've played with this over the years. But now for the upper suite, we've got a high efficiency forced air furnace, which is ducted in, so it's your traditional forced air heat. And then downstairs, we've got electric baseboard heating. And we've done that for a couple different reasons. So downstairs, the reason we've elected to go with electric baseboard is it because we don't have to have common ductwork in the ceilings, which is another big source of sound transfer. Okay, so we've eliminated that. The tenants downstairs are able to pay for their own utilities. And with the electric baseboards, we've got rid of having to house another whole furnace unit. So it gives us a lot more usable space. All those things are really important for us, in a property like this. So next is hot water systems. I know that in a lot of the properties that I currently own, you got to be careful. I mean, if you're having a shower upstairs and somebody turns on the water in a traditional hot water system, somebody can get burned, or the water pressure will change, and it'll fluctuate what's coming out of the tap. If you've ever had that where you're in a shower and somebody flushes the toilet or something, it becomes freezing cold or super hot. All those things are a major, major annoyance and an irritant for your occupants. So we've eliminated all of that. We've got fully plumbed in, separated hot water systems and an on-demand hot water heater for the upper suite and high efficiency on-demand hot water unit for the lower suite. And they're also on their own meters. Okay, so big expense has gone into creating that, but huge for us. Now on top of that, with the electric baseboard heat downstairs, another thing we've added in right here is our air exchange units. Okay, so the only drawback traditionally to electric heat is the fact that you don't get the same airflow that you would have with a furnace. So the air exchange unit is ducted in, as you can see here, and it goes up throughout the house, much like a furnace would, only for the basement suite. And basically what it does is it draws air from outside and exchanges it with the air in the unit to make sure that we're always, we've got nice, clean air in the home. And it also eliminates a lot of the moisture that can build up in humidity. So it does all the work that a furnace would do except add heat in. So another big cost. It's not a code thing, but it's a massive issue for our tenant retention and tenant comfort. And separate laundry. How many basement suites have you seen where, people would share laundry and you've got clothes all over the floor and in, common area and that kind of thing? We've eliminated all of that. So for the basement suite, or for the upper suite, you would walk in, come down the stairs, and you've got your big storage, mechanical / laundry room. Great appliances, lots of cabinet space, ceramic tile floor, just a beautiful laundry facility. And then for the basement suite, we've done the same thing. So it's a big storage space. There's lots of room for bicycles, and there's lots of room on the side here as well. Picture doesn't really show the whole room. But there's the ability to even stack these. If we wanted to stack them, we could and get more space over here. But lots of lots of cabinet space. Totally separated laundry facilities, which again is something that really makes the suite unique. Okay, so soundproofing. This has been a major challenge for me and the builders I've worked with for probably the last 5 years, and just figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And while I'm not here to say that I know it all or anything like that, I know what we've tried that hasn't worked the best, and it's led to this. So we go a little bit overkill with the soundproofing because I know just how important it is for your tenants. So this is different pictures we've taken throughout construction. This is the basement suite. So we're in the basement looking up. Now to begin with, we don't have common ductwork because it's electric baseboard downstairs. The flooring that we're using upstairs is a vinyl laminate plank flooring with sound reducing qualities. So really above the floor joists here, we've got some really cool soundproofing options happening there. And then we go pretty in depth on this. So the first layer of soundproofing is high density, safe and sound, bad insulation in between the floor joists. Okay, and most builders leave it at that, if they even put that in. So the next thing we do on top of that is a layer of drywall. Okay, so we put in a layer of I believe it's 3/8 of an inch drywall. And then on top of the drywall, we put in a layer of Donna-Cana. And Donna-Cana is another sound canceling material that's quite thick. If you were to turn this board around, it almost looks like a egg carton. It's got that kind of feel and texture to it, but very thick to stop sound transfer. And that's just the first couple steps. We'll look at the next on the next slide. So on top of the Donna-Cana, we then put a layer of resilient channel bar. And then on top of the resilient channel, we affix our drywall, which you can see here. So the drywall goes on to here, and this creates a cavity, which gives us some air space, which is supposed to stop sound transfer as well. So between the floor, which is layer 1, then our safe and sound, which is layer 2, then our Donnacona, which is layer 3, then our insulation, which is layer 4, plus the drywall, we've got 5 layers of soundproofing, plus having no common ductwork. And with all the homes that we've tried, and we've done this extensively now, we find that this creates, virtually as soundproofed of a property as you can create in a suited home option. So big expense to do this. I mean, when you go into the suite, you don't know that there's 5 levels of material there, but I know how important that is to the long-term hold. So we've made that standard in our projects. So for the basement suite in particular, we've added a lot of different storage options that are not typical, or frankly, I've never even seen in other properties right now. And the first being the garage for the basement suite. So this is the actual garage for the Crestview home. It's heated. It's actually soundproofed here as well. Lots of space. There's enough room to get a really good sized truck in. Even a lifted truck like mine fits in. But it's safe and secure. It's room for toys, for RVs, quads, boats, any of those kind of things that most of the type of tenants that are up here have. This space is just valuable. It just really opens up the door to who would want to lease the space out. And then on top of that, lots of storage space in the unit itself. In the laundry facility, there's also a mechanical room where there's room to put bikes and that kind of thing. So just the storage space in the basement suite, there's a lot of it there, which really rounds out a nice option for tenants. So as we showed before, a lot of the basement suites in town that have traditionally been put into homes are what I would call an afterthought. And really evident as soon as you walk into this home that the basement suite was definitely not one of those. It certainly wasn't an afterthought. And just things like the 9-foot ceilings, lots of light, full daylight windows, separate driveway, separate garage, the heating systems, the hot water systems, the soundproofing, separate utilities, the laundry, all the things that we've done here really make this property stand out. It makes that basement suite so attractive. So we've discussed all of the major features that we've added in to really increase your property management company's experience as well as your tenant's experience. But I want to spend just a couple minutes on some of the other features that we've used in this home to really create a first-class investment. So the first thing that we'll look at is the siding that we've put on. So we've selected hardy board siding, which is a fiber board cement. So it's almost like a cement board that's placed in. And that really increases the curb appeal, the insulation factor, the long-term maintenance. Vinyl only lasts for so long. We use real rock work, lots of pot lights, other things like a really wide concrete entrance into the home, features like the wood trim, that we see put in. And there's also some rock work usually along the entrance here that we just can't see in this picture. So from the exterior standpoint, outside of all the major amenities that we've done from a property management standpoint, we're really building these things to attract and to bring us really high-grade tenants that are going to be usually easier to handle than what we find in the lower end of the spectrum. So all of that is going to work to creating more of an investment, less of a job for us. So some of the things inside are ceramic tile flooring. So we've used really high-grade ceramic tile flooring in the laundry room, bathrooms, and the entranceways as well. Now this picture doesn't show it as well, but the whole entrance is all with ceramic tile. And other little features that you don't normally find are going to be the floor-to-ceiling ceramic tile wall surrounds around the bathtub. So just things like that really add into the wow factor when people are coming in to look at the home. So another thing that we've basically switched to almost exclusively now is really high-end vinyl plank flooring. So it looks just like hardwood flooring. It looks like really nice hardwood flooring. But this stuff is just the best product you can imagine for rental properties for a few different reasons. I mean, number one, it's waterproof. It doesn't take on water at all. So you could have you could run this directly through a kitchen, and if your dishwasher leaks, let's say you had a dishwasher here, if it leaked, it doesn't ruin the floor at all. If you need to pull this flooring up and deal with the subfloor, that's fine, but it doesn't harm the flooring itself. Top of that is very scratch resistant. Okay, it's easy to repair or replace one plank at a time if you need to, and it just looks really sharp. In addition to that, because it's a vinyl-based product, it's got a little bit of cushion to it, so it sounds, it dampens the sound between this suite and the suite below. So just for a bunch of reasons, this particular flooring product is just optimal for these homes. And again, the kitchens, first off, we'll take a look at the upper suite. So, we've got granite options, full tile and glass backsplashes, soft close cabinetry, really, really high grade appliances. So they're not just your cheap stainless appliances. These are gallery style, gallery level appliances. The fridge in the upper suite you can't really see, but we do add in filtered water and ice dispensers. That's another big selling bonus to the tenants themselves. And same with the basement suite. Okay, we've got double chest fridges with the same ice and water dispensers, really high-end dishwashers, plenty of natural light, and all the soft close and granite downstairs as well. So certainly not your typical rental properties, and all these things lead into attracting that type of tenant profile we're after. Another cool feature that we can do here is the optional private and secured backyard. So we can do it with or without the privacy slatting. And this just really rounds out a bunch of private space. So the upper suite has a deck with stairs coming down. They've got their own private yard, enough space for an additional storage shed if they wanted it. And the same with the basement suite here. So everybody gets their own little bit of yard space. And it's really nice feature. Makes the basement suite so much more attractive. So this is a video of a home that we completed last year. As you can see, everybody's got their own space, and while they're not using it too much right now because of the snow, this really, by the time we get the landscaping and everything completed, just totally rounds out the whole experience for both our upper and lower tenants. So in total, all of the things that we've done for this home, the way that we've thought through it, we've engineered out a lot of the typical issues that suite properties bring to us. They really create more of an investment. And because of the kind of tenant profile that we're hoping these kind of features will attract, it means less of a job. So a little bit more freedom and a big smile on this person's face because she's not having to constantly deal with an angry property manager, tenants that are moving in and out, more turnover, more vacancy, and all of those issues. So and we've really done a lot to think this property through and make it just an optimal holding experience. So now we can have it all. So we can get a great new property, cash flow, easy property management, happy tenants, capital appreciation, all rolled into a brand new custom built rental home in a great neighborhood. So we'll go through just 2 seconds on a purchase analysis. There is another YouTube video on the list here that you'll find that goes through all of the numbers in detail for this home. But for right now, the baseline property here starts at $599.9, and the optional upgrades that I think we're going to make standard here right away, and they're $5,000 each for the 3 upgrades. Hardy board is an upgrade. Granite countertops, both for upper and lower kitchens, are an upgrade, as well as the fencing with that divider down the middle is a $5,000 upgrade. So for all of the features that we saw earlier in the program, the purchase price is $615, but we don't have to put those in. But I think right away we're going to make them standard, just because it's in my opinion, each one of those are definitely worth it for the wow factor. So by the time we factor all of our numbers out, and you'll find that in the next video, which is our pro forma discussion, you can get a great custom built property that still is cash flowing nearly $1,000 a month with rental appreciation coming right now, which will probably push that further in the coming months. So guys, just a fantastic property. It really suits all the needs and just rounds out a really cool opportunity for us. So again, if you're considering one of the Crestview homes, I personally own several of them. I've built them both in Fort St. John and Dawson Creek. Really love them. We do have a couple other plans that we're working on that'll still have all the major inclusions that we've discussed in this program. But the next step, for more details or for more information or for an availability list, call me today. You can get me, Mitch Collins, at 250-262-9338, or email me at mitch@mitchcollins.com. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you found this presentation helpful.